Hey there, music creators. My name is Andrew, and in this video, I'm going to be writing an entire song using just this brand new MacBook Pro I bought and Ableton Live 10 Suite, or whatever their full maxed out edition is called. I'm not going to install my giant collection of sample libraries. I'm not going to install Serum. I'm just going to be using this new laptop, Ableton Live 10 Suite, and my Push 2. So this is a good representation of if you're a brand new music producer or you're thinking about getting into music production. What kind of tools would you need to get started with? You often see pictures of these crazy studios, and I'm no exception to this. If you look behind me, you'll see this thing of keyboards. If you looked over here, you'd see a bunch of guitars and Eurorack gear. But you really only need a laptop, some kind of DAW, digital audio workstation, and some kind of way to poke in sounds. And honestly, you don't even need that. So this has been kind of a good way to show that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this on my channel. And let's dive right in. All right, so in addition to having this new laptop, I also am trying to arrange a new setup in my attic that has the green screen behind me so that I can kind of make some fancy new shots. So I don't have everything I need to do that. I'm just on this really small table, and I'm not even on the chair. I'm literally just kneeling on the floor. So a little more ghetto than what I'm used to, but we will move on. So I have my Ableton Push 2 here. I have the laptop here, and I got a mouse that's just hooked up. You don't actually need to use the Push 2. You can actually control everything. If you hit M, then you're going to notice this thing in the upper corner that activates. And then from there, you can actually trigger sounds inside just using the keyboard. So you don't actually need a Push 2, but the cool thing that a Push 2 does is it gives you a hardware unit that you can actually use to trigger sounds. So I'm not going to do a whole beginner tutorial in this video covering Ableton Live and the Push 2 because there's plenty of content for that already. I really want to emphasize showing what you can do with these tools if you just got a new laptop and Ableton Live 10, for example. So what I have here is I have a drum kit loaded. If you don't know where the drums are, you can go into drums and you get a bunch that just come with Ableton Live. Depending on which version you get, you'll have different amounts of drums, I believe, and you'll have different instruments. And for the instrument here that I've preloaded, you can go into Instruments and click it. It's called Wavetable, I believe this one is. And I do have a synth preloaded. All I did for that is I went into Sounds, and I clicked Bass, and then I believe I clicked one of these sounds in this list until I found one that I liked. So that one sounds like this. I'm going to activate my track here. Alright, so now I have a basic kind of chord progression, even though it's really just a bass melody. So next, I'm just going to go into Sounds, and I'm going to just kind of dig through, let's say, guitar, and I'll just kind of start digging through. So now I have a bass line and I have a melody. I kind of want to add a pad element in the back, so I'm just going to pick a sound in here. And let's go with that one. I'm getting some pops, and that brings up a kind of good point. If you're new to this, you might not know that if you're running a bunch of instruments, you're going to run into what's called buffer size issues. And that just means that the computer can't process the sounds in time to play it in real time, so you increase your buffer to give you more kind of lag time for the computer to process ahead of whatever's playing. And that should reduce the pops. At this point, I'm just going to add some drums. I do have some sounds pre-selected. If you hit Shift and Tab, there's a little tip that switches you from this clip view, which allows you to see the MIDI, to the actual sound control view. So if I click this is my drum kit. Oh, gotta activate it. I always forget to do that. And this is what's called a drum rack. So basically each one of these little pads has a sound load into it, and that corresponds to a certain grid segment on the push 2. Don't worry about it again. You can control it. If you hit M to activate the little thing in the corner, then and you can play the whole thing from there. Bunch of red in the corner means you got to turn your bus down. Actually, a much better practice, instead of turning the bus down, is to actually turn your tracks down, because though we're all at 0, when you stack a bunch of tracks that are at 0, you go higher than 0, at least in the audio world. So at this point, we basically have the starts of a song using just Ableton Live and the tools provided with it, and of course, no laptop and Ableton Push, but the focus of this is, just the sounds that are stock in Ableton. Now, I'm going to do another quick tip, just because I think it's kind of cool. You don't really need any fancy tools to do this. I'm just going to use the microphone inside of the laptop, just to record some bass vocal sounds that I can manipulate later. And so if you don't know how to select an input, what you do is if you hit Command and comma, it'll bring up this preferences window. So you go to Audio Input Device, Mac Pro Microphone, and then now in the corner here, when I talk, you see that this bounces up and down, indicating that it's hearing audio. So now I can just kind of sing something and then make it into a vocal chop. See